Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Virgo March 2023 weekly illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So, hi, everyone, and welcome. This reading is to take a look at the energy for the week ahead. So we're going to be looking at what you're bringing to the week, what's going on around you, and then we're going to be looking at a block or a challenge, advice from Spirit as to how to overcome it, and then what part of your unique spiritual self, that spiritually important self, is waiting to come out, be unlocked, or there's an opportunity for growth in your experience. So we're looking at a block and an opportunity. All right. So right off the bat, we have 6 of Cups and we have 7 of Wands. So 6 of Cups is what you're bringing in yourself. Your internal energy, Virgo. And it's a really nice energy to have. That's one where you're reviewing your past self from an emotional standpoint. This can be where we're kind of sitting in a place of nostalgia, maybe getting back in touch with our inner child, or just reviewing our past, reviewing what happened from a perspective of today, because this card can also be sometimes about making peace with the past, that as we look back from our perspective now, we can see things in a different way. And that really is what this card speaks to, which is getting a gift from the past to bring forward into the present day experience. Now, sometimes that can be when we are imagining our past selves and we suddenly remember a dream that we had, or we uncover a let's say maybe a hobby or something we love to do and we forgot about it, and suddenly we're like, oh my gosh, I can see how I can integrate that into my experience now, and that can open a whole new door for us. Or this can be something as simple as literally being able to put something from your past at peace because you're able to see it from a new and more matured perspective, and therein is the gift. So in your environment, what's going on around you this week, we have the 7 of Wands. And the 7 of Wands is one of defending your position. You can see this individual standing there in that kind of defensive position. He's on higher ground than the perceived threat or the people who are holding the other wands. Oh, excuse me, guys. Let me get a drink of water real fast. Now, what this could denote, for some of you, is that there may be a need to either defend your position to someone. Because this is in your environment, this means what's going on around you or external to yourself. So this could be where you're engaging with someone in your experience where you're going to have to hold your ground. Or this could be where someone in your experience is doing this with you, that maybe they perhaps are on the defense and they are the ones holding their ground. So keep that in mind as you're going through the week. Now, when we're looking at your recent past and moving up to the present day, recent past, we have the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is when we are sitting there kind of also doing a life review, but more from the perspective of what our story is, looking at our life kind of from the mental plane, doing an overview of what we've gone through, the patterns, the lessons we've learned. We look at what we've survived, the downs and the ups. And we are able then to tell a story about our experience. And I like that then we have the High Priestess coming in directly after that. There's something here that states that there's a deep internal knowing and possibly a decision that's been made on that deep intuitive level around something that you uncovered about yourself, about your story. This can be sometimes where we realize, wow, I've gone through so much. I didn't realize this was a repeat pattern in my life. And suddenly there's like that moment of, oh my gosh, I know what I have to do now. Maybe I was holding myself back because I was afraid of repeating this pattern, or I was afraid of repeating that lesson over again. And suddenly there's something here about that. There's kind of like, I don't always get this with the High Priestess, but there's almost like this aha moment kind of coming through this, again, kind of deep, but it's on a deep level. It's not the aha that sometimes it's like, oh, an idea came to mind. It's like this deep intuitive understanding. And suddenly with the Three of Cups coming in your present day energy, I think for many of you, it's a deep understanding about community, about what you want, who you want to be surrounded by, who you want to celebrate with. And there's an understanding about maybe why you either haven't had that in the past, maybe an authentic group of people to share yourself with, why maybe you didn't allow yourself to actually celebrate with others, or that there's a repeat pattern somehow going on around that. But I do like that with this kind of internal energy around the Six of Cups, it may be that you're kind of reviewing maybe a past version of yourself at a time where maybe you did feel like you fit in and then something happened down the line. Or maybe you're reviewing, just your past self and how you interacted. This can be also where we're kind of looking at our life with rose-colored glasses, like looking back at the past and saying, man, it was really good then, or it was better then than now. But I do feel that many of you, there's a realization, an aha around community, around the community you want to spend your time with. And maybe also around how maybe you've held yourself back from celebrating yourself or showing your truest self, because that can be the Three of Cups as well. Now, for some of you, very few, the Three of Cups can actually mean a third-party situation, or it can mean something else kind of getting into the mix, that possibly it's you and another individual who are sharing a cup, and now there's a third cup coming in. So maybe there's a deep intuitive understanding about something else that's kind of maybe getting into the mix in your life at this point. And maybe it's something from the past. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pull some additional cards here. So we're going to be taking a look now at the block, the challenge, the advice from Spirit, and then the opportunity that's presenting itself to you this week. So let's see, what does Virgo need to know about the week ahead? I hope you all enjoyed the full moon on March 7th in your sign, Virgo. It was a big one. It's kind of like the culmination of the last, I'm going to say the last era. With Saturn moving into Pisces on the same day. It really is, it was a beautiful point of release for many of us to really gain clarity as to how we want to move forward, refreshed as a new version of ourselves, moving into Aries season as we head towards the end of this month and into April. So, man, your cards are really quiet, but here we have the Prince of Wands, which in this deck is the Knight of Wands. So this is in your main challenge position, Virgo, which sometimes I can understand this. For those of you with strong Virgo placements in your chart, there can be an eye for detail, a certain high level of judgment that you place on yourself and others, and that can sometimes get in the way of this energy, the Knight of Wands, which is the individual who just wants to go out there and do what feels good, what feels like fun, what lights his fire or her fire. And sometimes this individual can be seen as a little flighty or someone who can't be relied on, because maybe today they love something and they're trying it out, and tomorrow they're on to the next thing because they realize that thing doesn't appeal to them as much as it did yesterday. And so that can be hard, especially for people who deal with strong Virgo in their chart, that you don't want to be seen as, not dependable, or you don't want to be seen as someone who maybe doesn't do something 100% or to the best of their ability, which the Prince of Wands or the Knight of Wands, he'd be that individual. It's like, I'll just try it out. That sounds cool. I'll go do that. And so for some of you, you may be challenged right now to really embody this, to kind of just go with the flow, test the waters, see what feels good, what feels like fun. And on the other side of this, we have strength. So you have two cards that really embody the Leo energy, the energy of being seen, the energy of working with courage, and with more than anything, with heart-centered courage, really getting to that place of, when we think about Leo, lion-hearted, right? And so I think for many of you, you're being asked to really step into that place of inner strength where you do honor that sense of kind of wanting to go out there. I often see the Knight of Wands as the kind of spiritual adventurer. This is the individual who's going to go out and kind of like a honeybee. They're going to go from kind of flower to whatever attracts them. And they're going to, maybe pollinate a little bit of what they picked up over here. And then they're going to pollinate a little bit of what they picked up over here. So you guys are the ones that are meant to kind of go out into the world and experience firsthand through direct experience and be able to then bring that back and kind of maybe create something new out of it. You get to share your experience with others. This would be the individual who's like, oh yeah, I traveled here, I traveled there, I picked up a little bit of this, I picked up a little bit of that, this was cool, that kind of thing. And I think that's really needed right now from you, Virgo. There needs to be this kind of going out there from almost like a deep spiritual knowing, a deep spiritual need to go out there to kind of join the greater external world. I'm hearing spread your wings. So for many of you, this is a time of spreading your wings. Maybe you have been kind of in a cocooning phase for some time, and you're really being called on now to kind of blossom or maybe stretch yourself to see what this new version of yourself really is as we move into the astrological new year with Aries right around the corner here. So 5 of Pentacles is at the heart of your reading. This is what Spirit's asking you really to embrace or to dive into to help you overcome the kind of the need to go out into the world and kind of just do your thing. The 5 of Pentacles is a card where it can be that poverty mindset or that lack mentality of I will never have enough, or if I follow my passions, it will leave me without money. It'll leave me with feeling like an outsider. I might be left out in the cold alone. This could be like for some of you where you feel like maybe you want to stretch your wings outside of, a long-term relationship, and you're like, man, if I change things up, then my partner might turn his back on me or her back on me. If I want to go back to school and see if I'm good at something else, then I might be out all of that money at the end of it if I don't end up liking what I'm doing. There's kind of that feeling here of, and I think this is at the root, Virgo, of maybe also what you're kind of discovering here about yourself with reviewing your own story is maybe where have you kind of clung to something, and it could be rooted in your past. Maybe something happened in your family dynamic, where maybe there was a loss of money or status. And maybe that kind of put this fear in you of, I have to be the one who's stable. I have to be the one who makes money. I have to be the one who holds down the family or something along those lines. And now it's saying, really look at the root of where maybe fear around monetary loss, a fear around maybe, again, being left out in the cold without resources, where that comes from. And can you get to the place where you can brave facing that fear? Because on the other side, you're meeting the High Priestess again. And the High Priestess is your intuition. This is your inner spirit trying to come through. And it's also when we make a decision, because it brings in the number 2. And the number 2 does generally in the tarot mean that we are here to make a decision based off of whatever aspect is coming up. And this aspect is based on a deep intuitive knowing. So for many of you, there is this, kind of what you want, why you want to go on the adventure now. Why you want to go out there and kind of feel fun and I almost feel like, again, spreading your wings, lighting your fire, wanting to go out there to see maybe where a past version of yourself. This could even be where you remember, again, a hobby, a skill set, an ability, and you're like, what, I want to try that out. But that might mean that I have to risk changing something up in my physical, and that can be scary. That also, and for some of you too, that also might mean, this might be like chasing your more authentic self and really finding the people who fit with you. Now, on the other side of that, we have the 3 of Wands, and the 3 of Wands is in your final challenge position, but this is a very positive cup. This is the card of opportunity. This is where we're waiting for our ships to come in. And for some of you, there may be this feeling of, I'll just wait for the opportunity. When the opportunity comes, then I'll go for it. And I think there's a little bit here of it's like you already know what that opportunity, you know what you want that opportunity to be for yourself. Whether this is, I want to go out there and start dating again. I want to find the love of my life, because when I think back to my past version of myself, I miss who I was in a relationship, or I miss being the individual as a child who dreamed of having the romantic love of my life, or the family that I wanted to have with somebody. There's something here where it's like, you know what that opportunity is. And yet I think for many of you, you're waiting for something to come in before you make that move. And this is saying you're being asked to have the strength, I think, to make the move on the internal knowing versus the waiting. So I'm going to go ahead now and see what else is coming through here. We're going to get a little deeper into the message by pulling some clarifiers. And for some of you, this may mean with this Seven of Wands that you might have to defend your decision to do something. It could also be that you might have someone else who's trying to defend their position against maybe why you shouldn't do this. But I do get, for many of you, it's about defending your position to kind of go on that adventure. Yeah, we have the Eight of Swords. Many of you, you're trapped in a mental space. You can't see the way as to how you can get to this place of freedom. That is what I've been seeing with the Knight of Wands coming up quite a bit in these readings, is that there's this element of like a call to free ourselves in some way where we felt that we've been held back from feeling free. And I think for you guys, that's really what this is coming down to, and you feel like you can't see a way to make this happen. Let's see if there's anything. And then we have the King of Coins. Yeah, interesting, because the King of Coins, that's Taurian energy. It's the energy of really understanding how to work with the physical. The King of Pentacles can be the business owner who's really good at running that business. It's somebody who really understands how to prioritize the value of their time and their energy. And for some of you, you might feel either that you're trapped by because this can be somebody who's also very fixated on the physical, someone who wants to keep amassing more money. That can be the problem with the King of Coins, is that for him, if it's not bringing in some type of monetary value or something physical that he can kind of count, so to speak, like coins, that he's not willing to take the chance. He's not willing to, go and invest. He's not someone who would be like the like the Knight of Wands and just do it for the sake of it feels like fun. He's someone who would sit there and he would assess all of the risks involved and what he might lose and what he might get back. So for some of you, there might be a little bit of this mental entrapment around a hyperfixation on the physical. It could also be being trapped just in the energy of I have to be the responsible one. I have to be the one that saves. So kind of keep that in mind. And maybe get back to a time when you didn't feel like you were so focused on that. Knight of Swords, yeah, speaking your truth. This might mean that you have to go to somebody in your life to, speak what you're feeling here. And then there's your card, the Knight of Coins. This is a steady way forward. It's a step by step. It's looking at what you want to plant to bring in a future harvest. And so for many of you, there might be this discussion that needs to come out that says, you know what, I want to make a change, but I have a plan. I have a plan as to how to do this. I have a seed that I want to plant. But it may take the strength of courage to be able to actually express this or to speak to a new plan, especially if you're the one that maybe you feel responsible to maintaining the King of Coins, the King of Pentacle status in your life, meaning that other people could depend on you, family, friends, even just yourself. You depend on yourself to keep a specific way of life for you. Now, we have the Seven of Wands coming in for the Five of Pentacles. So for some of you, you may actually be defending the Five of Pentacles, defending your sense of loss, to say like, no, I can't do this, because if I do this, I'm going to be out in the cold. If I do this, then no. And with the Chariot coming in, you have an opportunity to really get to step up into that being the charioteer, of really getting a forward momentum going. And I think what it's going to come down to is if you can turn this kind of external energy into internal energy and really be able to just kind of say to yourself, like, no, I'm going to get in and I'm going to start going on that adventure, or I'm going to go in this direction I feel called, because that is what the High Priestess is all about. It's feeling the call. It's that intuitive, deep knowing that you can't walk away from you. It's like that part of yourself that kind of just keeps haunting you and is like whispering in your ear, and you dream about it at night. And so there's something here around, for many of you, it's time to move forward on something. But also to get past, I think, a hyperfixation or a sense of responsibility and maintenance around assuming the King of Pentacles energy, that you have to make a certain amount. You can't do something unless it brings in a certain amount. And then, for the High Priestess, we have 8 of Wands. If you follow your intuition, there's going to be fast forward momentum. That's what the 8 of Wands speaks to, fast movement. Lots of stuff happening. Could also be quick communications. Could be an email coming in, or you sending an email. It could be you sending a text based on, again, what you know, what you're feeling, the direction you want to go in. But I do get the feeling more than anything that this is, if you trust your intuition and you decide to get into the Chariot to go, and you defend that position, even if others don't see or agree with what you're seeing and feeling, it's going to lead to quick momentum for you. And then we have the Magician. Yeah. You're going to really step up into the magician role within your life, realizing what you could manifest, realizing what you have to work with, and how quickly that can really bring in what you want. Now, the 3 of Wands, we have the Devil. Yeah, for many of you, I feel that you're tied to something. Ooh, has a lot of cards, but I'm just going to take the one that came up, Justice. Yeah, for many of you, feel tied to a contract. It could be a contract that could be a marriage contract. It could be a contract to a place where you work. And I think, this can be where, you want to go out and do something, but yet, you're married and you have 2 kids and suddenly you're like, shoot, I want to make this change. I want to follow what intuitively I want to follow, what I want to celebrate with others, what I want to share with others. But yet I'm beholden to a contract in my life. Now, this could be a soul contract. This could be you just feeling like, but I told myself I was going to keep doing this, or I told my followers I was going to keep doing this. And I think maybe you're waiting for an opportunity to come in for you to say, for you to firmly be able to say, okay, now it's time for me to walk away from that job. Okay, now it's time for me to walk away from that business I've built for myself that I want to not do anymore. Okay, it's time for me to retire. Okay, it's time for me to quit my job so I can be a stay-at-home parent. Whatever it is, there's something here around that it's almost like you're waiting for something to come in to put a hard stop to something that you've been tied to, that it's time to release, so that you can free yourself up to celebrate in the way that you want, to find the tribe that supports you and what's going on in your life at this time. And it's as simple as, I think, really breaking free from this tie to the physical, of specifically around money, around maintaining this and getting over this fear, this kind of poverty mindset. Because once you can push through that and have the strength to push through that with a plan of action, things are going to line up and fall into place real fast. The bottom of the deck, the Hanged Man. A change in perspective. And I think for many of you, that change in perspective is what you might see as wealth. Maybe at one point it was all about the physical, and all you wanted to do was save, save, save. Or you wanted to have the big house and all of that, or you wanted to have some other type of level of security and status. And now you're realizing, well, I just want to have intimate friendships that I can spend time with. I just want to have the support of others who share what I share, what's in my cup, who honor what's in my cup. And that can be a massive change in perspective here. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull a couple final cards just to get additional advice from Spirit. So we're going to pull an energy oracle card. Let's go ahead and see what else Virgo needs to know. Oh, I love it. It says master number 33. I love that. Door to romance. So for many of you, this is about following your heart. And I like how the heart's like in a little cage here and there's a keyhole. And it's like, for many of you, I think you've held your heart back in a cage for some time. And there's something around with this deep intuitive knowing and this need for freedom and wanting to go out and really connect with individuals and have this celebratory or supportive energy. There's something here around allowing your heart to be that guiding factor where you've been holding yourself back, because you have the opportunity here in freeing yourself from a tie to the physical or a tie to money or a tie to a specific way of life and status. You have a chance to, I think, fall back in love with life or go on the adventure that's going to allow you to unlock your heart. Whether this is moving towards, again, going out into the dating world and finding the individual who's going to light your fire, or becoming a parent, or following a dream, a passion project that's going to, again, unlock that heart-centered, love of life. Beautiful energy. Beautiful energy. The door to romance is here. You just have to knock and unlock yourself. Unchain yourself here with Devil and Justice. It's amazing how when we follow our heart, we follow our intuition, things do fall into place. And often we hold ourselves back out of fear. And generally it's around loss in the physical sense. And we hold ourselves back for so long from just allowing what wants to come in for us. And we have the Lovers, the Four of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles. Yes, here we go. The Lovers, what you love, making a choice to follow what you love. And for many of you, you've been holding back Four of Pentacles because of your tie to the King of Pentacles, because of your tie to the physical aspect of your experience, from being so focused on that. You've been holding yourself back from literally doing what you love, following what you love, falling in love because of a tie to the physical. There's a big, strong emphasis here, Virgo, in releasing your tie to the physical. For some of you, this could be where maybe you've sat there and you've worked your entire life and you've saved and you've saved and you've saved and you have all this money, or you've amassed all of these, what do they call it? Your assets. And there's like this realization sometimes when we get to a certain age where you're like, wait a second, I can't take this with me when I go. Do I have those authentic friendships that I want? Did I have the love of my life? Did I get to go travel and see the places I've always wanted to see? And there's this realization of like, wait, if I can't take it with me when I go, then what ultimately, what's more worth? Because the King of Pentacles he's not always just focused just on money. He's also focused on time, because it's anything relating to the physical experience. So maybe now the change in perspective is realizing how much your time is worth and investing that in what you love. Seeing the King of Pentacles as being a master at utilizing his time to do what he loves, to be surrounded by those he loves, to be creative in the way that he wants, that lets his heart sing. So don't hold yourself back from, releasing some tie to the physical that might be robbing you of a way to really enjoy your time. Okay. And I love surrender to creativity. I absolutely love this. So, I'm sorry, guys. I have to just check something there real fast. Okay, surrender to creativity. It says, let your imagination soar. Stay open to all creative ideas about how to pursue a dream or solve a problem. So stay open. There might be this sense of like, I can only do it one way. I can only do it if this opportunity comes in. I can only do it. And it's like saying, stay open. Just let yourself kind of like lose yourself in the romance of what if you could change something in your life? What if you really could follow that deep yearning for something, that deep knowing? And what would happen if you did break that contract that you feel kind of held back by? There might be a different way to do something that maybe doesn't even mean that you have to sever that contract. It may just be looking at how to maybe reprioritize your time and energy. So we have the artist and strength. Yeah. For some of you, this is really having the strength to get back into the driver's seat of becoming the artist of your own life again. What is that dream? If you could literally write out or paint a picture of what you want your life to be like, the true intentional manifestation, what would that be? And have the strength to admit it to yourself, and have the strength to also have faith that that is meant for you. That yearning, that deep intuitive knowing is meant for you. And the creativity, the spark, the aha moment will come when you start to just take action towards what you love, with an eye towards who you want to be surrounded by, who you want to be supported by. And for some of you, there's a very specific message here around creativity. For some of you, it's having the strength to follow your creativity. If you want to write a book, if you want to, become a painter, if you want to dive into the world of voiceover acting, like there's something here around, for some of you, this might be a call to change, completely shift course, to follow a creative endeavor, and you're afraid to do that. But for others, this is strictly about also just realizing you are the artist within your own life. And what is that picture of your future self that you want to paint, and start to make a plan of action as to how to get there. Beautiful energy, Virgo. I hope you really go ahead and use this week to honor your intuition and to really start taking a look at what your heart is yearning to experience in your life experience. All right, I will leave it there. I look forward to seeing you all next week, and have a wonderful week, Virgo. Bye.